Back, everybody. So, the original Robocop movie. What are the two words I'd use to describe this movie? That's it. Fucking epic. And there's not one person in this world can tell me otherwise. This is how much I love this movie. And there are so many reasons why I love this movie, which I'm going to get into in just a moment. So, Robocop was directed by Paul Van Hoven. It starred Peter Weller as Alex Murphy and Robocop. We also got Nancy Allen as Officer Anne Lewis, plus Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Bodiger, plus many, many others. So this Robocop movie is set in a futuristic Detroit city, which is run by a company called OCP, Omni Consumer Products, who are basically trying or investing money into this program to make a more of a cop, which is robotic. Then introduces Peter Weller as Alex Murphy. He gets transferred to a different precinct in Detroit, where on his first day there, he basically runs into this gang who are basically killing cops for fun, and then gets brutally murdered to then be changed into the cyborg as we know as Robocop. So this movie, what do I love about this movie? I love all of this movie, every single bit of it. Just the way this was done. Yes, it's meant to be set in a futuristic kind of Detroit, but still got that 80s kind of feel, that businessman kind of feel from the 80s that you get to see in movies from the 80s. That kind of corporate kind of eat or be eaten kind of feel to it. And this is just one area of this movie I actually love. Now, going into this, I'm not going to go too into depth with this movie review because you already know that I absolutely love it. I'm just going to point out some things which I just really, really enjoy. First of all, Peter Weller cast as Alex Murphy and Robocop. It was one of the best moves ever. I have watched a documentary where they were thinking about casting other people, but I think they nailed it with this character. There are reasons for this. One, his voice. His voice matches a kind of robotic kind of feel anyway. It's just the way he is. It's just, how he portrayed Robocop in this, which I'm going to get into a little bit later on. But the best part of this movie is how or why he become Robocop, and how he that scene where he gets shot to death is still one of the most brutalest death scenes I've ever seen in a movie. And we're not talking about horror movies here, okay? Horror movies can be pushed aside because they are there for a reason. They're brutally there for a reason. That is what you want to see. But as in a movie like this, it's completely brutal. There is no remorse from any of those people in any way, shape, or form, which is why this makes this such a great death scene. Yes, he gets shot to hell. Yes, there was bits that were cut out which are later put into the movie, but it's just the way this was done. Yes, there were some animatronics in there which worked so well, and like I said, and I stand by what I say as well, that it's probably one of the most brutalist death scenes in a movie, excluding horror movies. Horror movie death scenes are there and done for a reason, and the way they're done for a reason. But in a movie like this was brutal, and I absolutely loved it. Then you get to see the slight transformation of him, or the build up of him becoming Robocop, and you get that kind of sense of feel that yes, okay, he's awake. He doesn't know what is going on, and I just loved it. It's a nice little touch. But then to actually get to see him, when I first watched this movie, I was just like, what the fuck? This is absolutely awesome. And that was just the scene where you see him through like the kind of frosted glass. I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Other traits about this movie I love is his gun, which they got rid of in the remake, which is a big bugbear for me if you've seen that movie review that I've done before in the past. And the way he moved in this, the way he spoke, the way he moved, the way he did things, there in the early part of him being Robocop, there is hardly any emotion there in any way, shape, or form. And then we get to the point where he actually gets flashbacks of his past, which is kind of expected anyway, which then this movie turns into more of a revenge mission for him being shot to hell. It's great. I absolutely love it. The storyline in this is not hard to follow in any way, shape, or form. Okay, it's pretty much laid out there. As soon as you get that dream sequence, you know exactly what's going to be going on. It's going to be a case of revenge, and it's just so well done. he played this well. Yes, I know he's only playing a robot. There's not a lot to it. He hasn't got a lot of dialogue, but it's the way he moved. It's the way he did things in this. And you get that kind of emotional attachment to him, especially when he's getting shot in that parking lot. You still get that emotional attachment because, yes, essentially he is a robot, but yet he is still experiencing memories from his past. But yet you get that sense he's still human as well, which what makes this movie so good. Yes, he's a robot, but you still get that sense of humanity in him, and that is what this. Just these elements are alone are good enough for me. Then we're going into like the supporting cast of Nancy Allen as Officer Anne Lewis. Yes, okay, she's not in this a lot, but she is a great added addition to this, and she is like his kind of, I almost want to say like lifeline to humanity to a certain point. She knows what happened to him, she knows what happened to his family, so it is his kind of lifeline for just that little bit of humanity. Now going on to the big one. Okay, the bad guy. Kurtwood Smith as Clarence Bodiger. Again, he's probably one of the best movie villains ever. Again, he's cold, he's callous, there is no remorse in anything he hardly does. He's conniving, scheming, and he's just an absolutely great villain in this. Again, you don't see a huge amount of him. The best part of him in this movie is probably the beginning and towards the end where he's facing up against Robocop, but he's a great villain, and his gang as well are just completely brutal. On the way he basically Robocop picks these people off to get them out of the way. It's just absolutely fantastic. The way this was shot was absolutely brilliant. Yes, I know it was done in the 80s, but the way it was portrayed on screen was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, okay, fair enough. There were some CGI moments in there which were a little bit shoddy. I just don't care. Because of the way they set this movie up, the way they produced this movie, the way they wanted to show you this movie is why I enjoy this movie so much as well. And it's just good entertainment anyway. It's simple. It's not overdone. It's not heavily reliant on CGI or special effects as such. It's a man in a suit with a gun, and the way it's just absolutely brilliant. Honestly, with the villains, with Robocop as Peter Weller as Robocop, who is the only Robocop ever. Okay, there is not one person that can even replace him in any way, shape, or form, or be better than him. End of story. And you can argue with me as much as you like on that one, but I'm pretty sure most people will agree. And then you get introduced to like kind of stuff like the musical score in this. It's absolutely brilliant, and it always sends a chill down my spine. I remember the first time I ever watched this movie, and I fell in love with RoboCop from this first movie. Yes, okay, I don't need to go too much more into depth with this, to be fair. Okay, I really, really don't. I told you the things I love everything about this movie. There are certain scenes that I love in this movie. The dream sequence as well, you can really get that feeling that he has no idea what's going on. He's confused and all that. You get the brutal deaths that are created by Clarence Bodiger, especially with Robocop's crater in his house. Absolutely brutal, as you like, but it works. Performances in this are actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie, they're not the best, I have to admit, but again, I just don't care. And just the whole setup and feel of this movie is absolutely fantastic. So if I was to rate this movie, without a shadow of a doubt, it's got a big fuck yes from me with a 10 out of 10, probably even more than that, a million out of 10. It's one of my favourite movies of all time. It cannot be remade, it cannot be beaten in any way, shape, or form. It's as simple as that. So, on that note, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below as normal. I hope you all have a great rest of the day, whatever you're doing. Please take care and goodbye.